us. Let's see how that works. Hey!
Hello, guys. How are you?
We're great. How are you?
Well, we're turning the volume up. There we go.
Well, fantastic. Thanks.
Of course. How have you guys been?
We're doing well. We were, just normal. We were, the weather here, it's stormed. Yeah. Flash flood warnings everywhere, so we've been inside.
Out of the blue too. It was like super sunny all week, and then all of a sudden just started.
That's how it is.
Pouring, and my brother's baseball tournament got canceled, so we didn't do much this week. I was supposed to babysit today, but the kid flooded the bathroom, and so the parents had to stay home to deal with that. So I didn't babysit today.
I mean, better them than you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's been about it. But thank you. I know you guys have been busy. I know you had a big day, and I was watching Tony live the other night, sipping martinis. That was fun.
Relaxing.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
And people who are watching live, everyone should go check out Mouse Park Insider's YouTube channel, because they've started putting stuff on there, and I've been watching. It's good. I know they've been eager to do that, so it's fantastic. I am so curious, because like yesterday I was at work. I was working, but while I was working in the background on my laptop, I was actually watching Mark Bricky's 10-hour live stream of his whole day at the park, and I was trying to see if I could catch sight of you guys or other people periodically, but I was kind of just back and forth. But I was curious to know how it was yesterday.
Yeah, I kind of want to know everything,
Yeah, tell us about it.
Tell you all the dirty details.
No, I know you're probably going to want to talk about it on your show. I don't want you to give away everything, but I'm curious about what time did you get in? Just all that stuff. Walk us through your day.
Oh man, it was awesome. But first, walk you through our entire day. We first had to take you to the night before, because we stayed at the Grand Californian Hotel for the very first time, and it was awesome. It was just wonderful. And the biggest highlight of that for me was we actually met Josh tomorrow.
Wow.
And
that's awesome.
He was so nice, and just, it was wonderful.
Yeah, he was in a circle of other workers. He kind of saw we wanted to meet him, stepped out right away, and he was very welcome. A really nice guy. And even the next morning, I think when we were going to the park, he saw us and said he left the circle again and said, guys, I hope you have a great day.
Yeah.
Have fun. So
that's
nice. Just eating.
Yes, I felt famous for half a second.
It's funny that with all the social media, the guys like him and Pot Rock, and which is so glad I now know how to pronounce his name. I know it was Potrock or Pot Rock but then they did the video and they said his name. But now in social media, everybody recognizes them, and they're like you said, they're like little celebrities, which is odd, because when I was a kid going to the park, I had no idea who was working there.
It's so true.
It's insane.
You're famous for doing your job, So we woke up 4 a.m.
Yeah, we woke up at about 4 a.m. After I didn't go to bed till midnight, 1 a.m. because I was editing our Grand Californian Hotel video because I wanted to release it the next morning. Yeah. And it was the first video that I've had to edit, so I'm just oh my gosh, I'm not going to get any sleep. I didn't.
No, he didn't. So we woke up, we probably got all of our luggage packed and everything, and actually standing in line waiting to actually enter into the downtown Disney area from the hotel. It was probably 6?
Yeah, about by 6 we started heading over. And Grand Californian, we had our own specific line to wait in, and it was maybe 20, 30 people.
Yeah, there were, I'd say even less than that. I think there were probably about 15 people ahead of us. It right now. And then so what they did was probably about 6:45-ish, they let us go through security, and they let all of the Grand Californian hotel guests go in Disney first before they let in all of the Harbor Boulevard people. And there were people lined up on Harbor from 4 a.m. So meanwhile, we show up 2.5 hours later and we got in before them. So it's like, cool, we'll take it. So then they let us line up right in front of the beautiful, gates of Disneyland, and we were right in the front. So that was really awesome.
Yeah, we were like the first people we were one of the very first people to walk in the gates, and we weren't expecting that at all. We just wanted to be like one of the first ones in case of a special ceremony. We just kind of the first like maybe 1,000 people, but to the very first ones in, it was just like no.
Yeah, they did like this big old countdown from 10, and we're like, oh my gosh, like we're really doing it.
And everyone's screaming, 10, 9, 8. I was just going crazy. I felt like I was like at a rock concert or something. It was just it was awesome.
And personally, like as soon as the countdown ended, I kind of like paused for a moment because I'm like, wait, I'm allowed to walk in now? Like, it's okay? Like, you're letting me in? And then we walked down Main Street, and that was when I got really emotional because they have cast members lined up shoulder to shoulder, just waving the entire walk of Main Street all the way down to the hub. And then like towards the end where you saw like all, the head honcho guys.
Like Bob.
Yeah, Josh recognized me. He literally pointed right at me and he's like, hey, glad you made it. I'm like, of course I did. So like I'm like one of those people that, you see like the bloggers and stuff that are like crying when they get into the parks, and like most of the time it's real, but sometimes you're like, oh, come on, you're faking it. And I'm like, I don't want people crying. Meanwhile, I was one of those people crying.
Yeah, you definitely said some curse words that I definitely need to edit out of our video.
It was wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and from there on out, like, the whole day was just great. Like, there was no wait for anything. Like, we got on almost every ride we wanted to by lunchtime.
And they started letting us in. The park was supposed to open at 9. I think we got in at what, like 8:20, 8:30?
I think even before that, like 8:05 maybe.
Yeah, it was
they
a little
opened
after
the gates.
8. So it was really, we were not expecting like that extra hour to kind of explore. And I was kind of waiting for like some ropes like, at the end of Main Street to kind of, corral us all. They weren't. It was just free for all. Go for it.
Well, you didn't know the park was actually open.
Yeah.
We went with our friend Sam, and we're like, okay, so what ride are we going on? And you were like, rides? Wait, we don't have to wait? I'm like, no, the rides are open.
Yeah, I think I was standing there for like 10 minutes just taking photos because I thought I wasn't allowed to go anywhere yet. But it was so wonderful.
Go ahead. For a second? Okay, so I posted a question on the show if it would be easier to get like Rise of the Resistance passes. Was it easier? Did y'all do that?
So interesting. Good question. So it was probably easier for you, but one thing that we didn't know, so we had a group of 3. My friend and I were also trying to get Rise of the Resistance boarding group at the same time as Tony with the same tickets and with the same party. Because he was already in the virtual queue trying to get them, we weren't even like allowed into the virtual queue. It was just like nothing was happening. Luckily he got them, but we were like, what? Like, why isn't this working for us? So it was easy enough, I guess. So that and just have one designated person try to get it for you.
And it goes really, really fast in the morning. Like, I got it on like right away, and the group behind me got group 4, and then I got group like 15. Like, I think like at the very the same time. So just goes really quick.
Mm-hmm.
Like less than probably 20 seconds, they're gone.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So you like at 6:58, just refreshing, and then just hit that join button right away.
So somebody watching posed the question, what was it like without parades and fireworks? Did you miss any? Obviously it's something that was missing, but how noticeable or how much was it affected your experience?
For me, not at all. I loved the character meet and greet version that they have now. They have so many characters out, like at all times through different areas. And characters you don't see all the time. Like they had Marie from Aristocats in Toontown, and I was freaking out because I'm a crazy cat lady. I was like, oh my gosh, it's Marie. But like it didn't take anything away from me. In fact, it probably added more.
It was just something really different. Like I know Disney World's been doing it since they've opened up, and for us to be able to experience that now, it's pretty cool. And honestly, the characters are more interactive. They're more in character. They're playing a part. They're playing a role. So I actually kind of prefer it than going up for like the awkward, here's a hug, let's take a photo. Like I like seeing the characters around because it just feels like they're in their habitat and that's where they're supposed to be.
Right.
And you feel like in a fantasy type land adventure, like you feel like they're just part of the land that you're in.
For sure.
Which is pretty.
Part of what I saw on Instagram, like it looks more natural and less, not uncomfortable, but like having a line in the middle of a walkway to meet like a princess with a bunch of like screaming 6-year-old girls, like that always interrupted the experience for me because I was like, I'm trying to go somewhere and like you're in the way. And so like it's kind of like what you said, Tony, like they're playing the role, and so it feels more real to me. So I hope that sticks around even after like COVID is over. Like I feel like that's just something that should stay because it's working really well for them. I don't know.
It did like a little bit of both, so we got more characters in the park if they could.
But they weren't doing like cavalcades like they do in Disney World. It was sort of just staged areas and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I do wonder if eventually they will, but as of now, it's just they were staged in different places.
Somebody was asking about the lines. Were they? I know they were staged with distancing markers and plexiglass, but in terms of wait, what was the longest you had to wait to do an attraction? What was the longest wait you had?
Snow White, and it was probably 15 to 20 minutes. So really good. So I would suggest for anybody going, what we did was first thing we walked over to Haunted Mansion. That was the first ride we did. We got on within like 3 minutes probably, and that ended up being probably the worst wait of the day. Every time I looked, it was at least like 45 minutes, maybe a half hour.
Yeah.
But that was a consistently long line. So we did that first, went to Pirates, and then everything else was smooth sailing for us too. We just walked on almost everything else. Peter Pan was a 3-minute wait. We just walked right on. Yeah. It's like that never happened.
There was not one person in line for the Mr. Toad ride at all.
Yeah.
There was not.
What?
I know.
I love Mr. Toad.
I don't like, the carousel was a little okay. So the carousel, Haunted Mansion, and Snow White. Those are like all the attractions they tuned up and changed a little bit. So those are going to be your 3 longest lines, no matter what. Those are the ones everyone's going to go to first.
Yeah.
Besides that, Indy and Splash Mountain got a little long because it was 90 degrees and the sun burning everyone. So and also Splash Mountain. My friend Nick mentioned this actually. Like they haven't touched that ride. Like there's so many lights just turned off, not working. Like it was like the worst I've seen it. So they're definitely prepping for Princess and the Frog. They're just
I imagine they're not going to spend much time or money fixing something that they know they're about to retheme. So
speaking of the heat, was wearing the mask in the heat as like unbearable as it sounds? Like I think it's really important to wear masks. I wear 2 masks to school every day, but I like being in that heat all day. Did that become as overwhelming as I feel it would?
So I think wearing masks, absolutely. I think that would be pretty bad. But I think for me, I was so miserably hot that I was more concerned about my hair. And I also bought, as lame as it is, those little like neck fans that you see people wearing. That helped, and I did not care if I looked stupid with it blowing in my face. I was like, this is making me like feel completely okay right now. So it wasn't as bad as I was expecting, but I think you definitely know that you're wearing a mask.
Have you guys seen those neck fans yet?
I've seen them.
So like I come home Thursday before we go to the hotel, and Danny has them, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what is this? But like the neck fan. Yeah, everyone needs to get one.
Well, let me tell you, for my job, at the school I work at, we start school in August, and I would say for the first 2 months at least of the school year, doing morning and afternoon drop off and pick up outside for 20-30 minutes at a shot, you are drenched with sweat. And so believe me, there's no shame. I would wear one of those all day. But
Yeah, I mean, I saw so many people at the park with them, and I've never seen them like those before.
And we also brought extra masks because we were using the disposable one. We're both fully vaccinated, otherwise we would probably be double masking it with like an N95 and stuff too. But we brought the disposable ones, and so we were just like switching them out throughout the day if it was just kind of getting like gross. So I would recommend bringing some extra masks too.
It wasn't too bad though. Like, I wouldn't say it ruined like the experience or the time at all. Like, the magic was still there. It didn't ruin anything.
Yeah.
Well, like my wife would say, it's a dry heat. Like, it's still 90 degrees.
It's still hot, yeah. Like,
Yeah, it's still hot. It's not cooler because it's not humid, but it's 90 and it feels like 90.
Yeah.
When it's 90, it feels like 110.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm curious, how did with the mobile ordering and food, was it smooth? Was there any hiccups? Did you guys experience any problems with any of that?
So as far as the reservations at least go, that was the easiest thing that I had through this entire process because I was the lucky one who got to get all the tickets for A Touch of Disney, for Disneyland, all of it. And the reservation for Disneyland was the easiest thing I experienced. So we went to Cafe Orleans. The mobile order was easy until I've been craving a Dole Whip so bad. Like, that is through entire lockdown. I'm like, I need a Dole Whip. A Touch of Disney, I wasn't able to get a Dole Whip. So it was like my number one priority. And it was probably 4 o'clock. Mm-hmm. We were like, we're really hot. Let's take a break. Let's get a Dole Whip. And the mobile order for Tropical Hideaway was completely done for the day. And it was only a mobile order. So I couldn't get my Dole Whip. We'll be back next week to get it. But that's the only thing I would kind of like warn people about is if the times are all taken up, even if it's 3 hours before closing, you're not going to get what you wanted.
I used to take French in high school, and we have a beautifully written French message in our chat. Unfortunately, I know it says, I do not speak English, but something about a very good party or good time. So thank you. It sounds like they're giving you the congratulations. So wow. Très bien. There you go. Merci. So Danny talked about how she got a little emotional. Tony, was there a moment in the day where you were kind of like you're like, okay, this is the moment? I'm like, oh wow, I'm overwhelmed by.
When I was drinking my martini. On probably our last ride, we decided to do the Mark Twain Riverboat last. We were just really exhausted, but I feel like we just needed to get like one ride in, and there was no line for that. And so we went on there and just going around and seeing Adventureland, New Orleans, everything. It was just very relaxing, and I like those more peaceful moments in the park. Like, I love the attractions, I love the thrills, but like for me, Disney, like my favorite moments are always like the real peaceful moments when I can just sit back and just take everything in. And I think the Mark Twain Riverboat was like just the moment where I took it all in. That like, we're at Disneyland. We get to come here all the time now. This is awesome.
I know some people are asking, I know we probably know because we've been paying attention, but some people in the chat are asking what was not available, what attractions were not available to
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
And did you feel like you were missing out from the ones that were closed? Like, I know Jungle Cruise wasn't open because they're doing refurbishments. Like,
right.
Did you feel like we were missing out, like a solid classic attraction?
So Jungle Cruise actually became the line queue for Indy because most of Indy is indoors and we can't have people indoor for more than, I think, 15 minutes right now for a ride. That's right?
Yeah.
I think so. Don't quote me on it.
Honestly, there was like no indoor line queues at all from what we experienced.
So you would like hang out outside in the queue and then so Jungle Cruise was actually not missed. I didn't even think about it really because I saw people lined up. I'm like, what? And it's like, oh, it's Indy, okay.
Plus, I think it's opening up in a few months anyway.
Yeah.
So we'll be able to get on soon.
For sure. I would say Matterhorn I did miss, and I kind of recognized that it wasn't running, so I knew it wasn't there. This one's really lame, but Buzz Lightyear we missed because that's usually like the only reason we go to Tomorrowland, just for our competitiveness against What is there anything you missed? The monorail.
I missed the monorail. Yeah, definitely the monorail.
Yeah.
Was were the sounds on in the Matterhorn? Could you hear the sounds? Was it just completely silent and everything?
See, that feels awkward to me. Like that. Just
I would want to hear
like,
the yodeling and stuff.
Yeah, just having it be completely deserted and be like you mentioned how no one was in line for Mr. Toad. Like that made me think. Like, what if you're the only party on this ride at the time? Like, that would be so awkward for me. But wait, why is Matterhorn closed?
It's under refurbishment.
Oh, okay.
They're fixing it.
So it'll open again? Because I was like, it's an outdoor ride. I was really confused.
Yeah, some of the rides are just on normal maintenance.
Yeah. So. Matterhorn usually closes for like a couple months every year just for maintenance. Yeah. It's one of those rides that just every year they close it for a couple months.
The submarines were not running.
I don't care.
I don't think those subs will ever open again.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think they can.
You know, they heard what Mimi said about them last time that we talked, and they're like, you know what, we gotta scrap this idea.
It's just so, if it was just, it's, I don't know.
Women and children first. Every man for himself.
It's just, it just feels so cheap. You know, like the animatronic, like, I don't know, like there's only one animatronic, or there's like, it's like a little like projector screen of like Nemo and Dory. I'm like, what am I looking at? Why did I do this?
You'll never work at Disney with this attitude. They're gonna throw your application out.
It's just
like we had an opening in the submarine ride, but since sorry,
it's
you're out.
So simple.
Sorry.
Yeah, we the steps.
No, I don't even think we walked over that way. Like there was still a lot to do, and just taking it all in, seeing all the characters. So we really I didn't really notice things that were missing because we haven't been in over a year. So there's so much to do, and just
we didn't even get everything done that we wanted to. So and it's so empty.
Mm-hmm.
But we did a lot of rides that we never do, like Dumbo. We've never gone Dumbo, but we went on Dumbo. Alice, we never wait for because it's usually 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Peter Pan's usually an hour, but 3 minutes. And
we did all of Fantasyland, which we like never do just because it's so congested.
That's a whole day. Yeah, if you're gonna do all of Fantasyland, like that's its own thing.
How do the crowds feel? I know how would you describe them? I mean, you guys have gone to Disneyland a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so related, relative to what a normal crowd might be, just like on a regular weekday, or I mean, was it a lot less people, or how did it feel coming from someone who goes all the time?
It felt in the morning a lot less. Once I think the park hopping happened, because once people from DCA came over, it felt crowded for maybe like a couple hours from like 1 to 3, and then people from Disneyland left to go to DCA to park hop over there. So I think from like like a 1 to like 3 o'clock where it seems busier, but for the most part it seemed completely empty.
1 to 3 I would recommend make your like lunch reservations, that way you're kind of out of the crowd. But otherwise I think, actually I know for sure it is the least crowded I have ever seen Disney, even on like a weekday that's raining. There's just like, especially in the last couple of years, there's never an empty day anymore, ever. So it was really cool to be able to experience that.
Yeah.
Is Small World open? Sorry, I forgot about that. Because like you can't have people inside. Like that ride is like 20 minutes, and it's like mostly inside. I don't know. That was super irrelevant.
They just made the world smaller and just go quicker.
Like sped up the boats.
It's like, come on, let's go. Put it on 1.5 speed. Let's go. Get through it.
But like a lot of the boarding groups, those are closed. So like Rise, you didn't have like the Ray and BB-8 scene.
Yeah.
And they really just, as soon as your boarding group's called, they just rush you in. I think like we were, like our boarding group was called, we got in the line, and we were out within 10 minutes of the whole experience.
Yeah.
I feel like that would take away from the experience of doing it. Like, I feel like part of it is the pre-show.
Yeah, well,
you know?
but you get to do most of it. How did Haunted Mansion work without the...
So the show, they only let 5 parties in at a time at the elevator. So they have markings on the floor, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so only 5 parties are allowed to stand so they're 6 feet apart in the elevator.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's good.
That's interesting.
I was trying to figure out how they were going to do that, but that makes more sense than
Some kind of exit. Yeah. No, they did it. They really did a great job. Disneyland did an amazing job making sure everyone was safe. And like I said, the longest line was the Starbucks line. Like, everything went by so fast.
Yeah.
Did y'all stay to the very end, or did you leave before?
Oh, we wanted to.
I went to the park in the morning with the knees of a 34-year-old woman. I left with the knees of a 90-year-old man who used to do like really strong weightlifting competitions for a living.
I feel like I just got hit by a bus. Like, I woke up today and I could barely walk. This was just, that's the most excitement we've had in over 400 days. So,
so we're going again on next week on a Saturday. And we're definitely planning on not being there at opening. We're probably going to show up around like 11-ish so that then we can actually make it the whole entire evening.
Yeah.
Are you going to DCA?
What was that?
Are you going to DCA?
We're not doing DCA this trip. We have tickets for Avengers Campus on opening day. So we're going to maybe get like a hotel across the street and then campus the next that day, opening day.
Cool.
Yeah, I was watching a live stream last night at the end when they came on, the announcement came on that Disneyland was closing for the day. And even here watching it on YouTube, I was like, no, don't close. Because it's like, are you going to open again tomorrow? Please tell me you're going to open again tomorrow. Add that to the tape. We're closing tonight, but we promise people we will be open tomorrow, right?
It was rough. We tried so hard to make it, and I think we ended up leaving at like 6:15. We were so close.
From waking up in the hotel at 4 to then, that's like
that's a long day.
It was a long day, but totally worth it.
Last time we were there, we got up for rope drop once, and we stayed till the park ended. And I was so tired, it wasn't even funny. Like, I think, because, like, what had happened is, like, what we did is we stayed to, like, because the park was closing at midnight or, like, right before midnight or whatever. And so we would stay, like, the whole time because we don't go very often, you know? You gotta, like, stay at night. It's, like, part of the experience. And so I got, like, 4 hours of sleep, and then I had to do the entire park, and I was just, like, absolutely exhausted. And, like, I can't imagine trying to do that after a year and a half of staying home.
I tell you what, challenge accepted. Try it. I'm willing to try. I'm willing to sacrifice myself to try to do that.
Okay.
But
she's like, you can do it on your own, Dad.
Yeah. I don't know when we're going to get back to a park. I approached the topic carefully using all of what I've learned in close to 50 years on Earth to try to get my way. And I fumbled on the 1 yard line. I was like so close, and all of a sudden, I'll have to try again. So I have to wait for the time here to reset, and then reapproach the rest of the family about potentially doing a trip. I started with, Mimi and I were talking the other day about, because we have the podcast, that maybe, if you guys don't want to go to a Disney park, that's fine. Why don't we just go ourselves? We'll just, take a drive, and we'll take a long weekend, whatever. And then it was, well, your son says he doesn't really want to go, but if he knows y'all are going, he's going to want to go too. And I said, okay, well then the three of us will go, right? And I said, but would you want to go too? And she's like, well, it's like the last thing on Earth I really want to do. There's so many other things I want to see in life besides doing that again. And I was so close to the end zone, and then it was like I fumbled, right? And it was like, so I have to change my approach. It's kind of like Groundhog Day. I got to reset, try again tomorrow, and see if I can.
There's so many different lands you get to see. There, it's you get everything in one when you go to Disneyland. You got the Grand Canyon on the train. You got, hey, do you want to go to the Grand Canyon?
Right. Right. At this point, what I'm hoping is, and actually another podcast mentioned this, and you guys are in California, and they go to Disneyland, and one of their bobsleds and banthas was saying one of their goals is one day to get a bunch of the podcasters who talk a lot about Disneyland to all meet up at Disneyland and sort of just everybody just hang out, like not to do their show there, but just kind of meet and greet and say hi and just have a good time. And so I'm hoping if something like that gets organized, I can convince the powers that be here that I just have to go. I've been invited. I have to go. Have to go do this. It is not negotiable. It would be rude if we didn't go.
Exactly. Yes.
Right. It would be rude to not go at this point. So, well, listen, guys. I know it's been a long day. I really appreciate it. When I told Mimi, I said, "Why don't I just reach out to Tony and Danny and see if they'd be willing to jump on live and talk about their trip?" And she said, on the same day you asked them? I mean, they're going to be tired. They're not going to want to do this. And
no, I was like, shouldn't we do this next week after they thought about it and can actually sleep a full 6 hours? Or 6 hours is not how much you're supposed to sleep, but I'm a high school student. 8 hours. I meant 8 hours, and you were like, no, it's fine. And
no, it's fine. We'll get them while it's fresh in their mind, and they're too delirious to say no. So.
I will say, next week though we do have a challenge. Though we are not leaving. We are going to be the very last people out of Disneyland Park. We are staying there until security kicks us out. I'm going to try my darn hardest to make sure we are the last ones in the park.
Yeah, I'm gonna have lots of caffeine.
Danny might give up. She might go wait for me outside. But my feet will be the last guest.
So here's what I'm envisioning: you find a hiding spot, but fall asleep. And then next thing you know, it's 4 a.m. and you wake up and you're like, oh my, I'm going to be in big trouble. They're going to get me.
I have a funny story really quick before we leave. Michael Jackson used to hide at Disneyland. He used to hide in the New Orleans Square bathrooms, and they would have to find him.
I'm not surprised.
I want to leave, and that's where he would be. He would be standing on the toilet seat in the stall because he never wanted to leave the park.
So that's going to be Tony next week.
He's gonna be live, and he's gonna be very quiet. I'm in the special Michael Jackson bathroom at New Orleans Square. I'm staying with. Don't tell anyone. I hear security. Shh. So that's great. Tony, Danny, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you for sharing your experience with everybody. It's been fantastic. We'll catch up with you guys again soon. Okay.
Absolutely, no problem.